Our phones have become a weapon, and their power has kind of snuck up on us. We all now carry around supercomputers with algorithms that divide society and social media apps that affect our mental health. Scrolling is the new smoking. But at the same time, phones are kind of useful and clearly not going anywhere. So how can we live in harmony with our devices before they rocket society towards total obliteration? What changes can we make now to set ourselves up for a positive future? Hey guys, my name's Slater, and in this video, 3 changes we can make to start living in harmony with our devices, and how to feel good about using our smartphone in 2021. Oh, and while I've got you, if you could please smash that subscribe button and give the video a like, it'd really help my channel grow. It's like we're living in one giant science experiment. Technology has advanced far more rapidly than our reptilian brain, and we've been handed a supercomputer the size of our palm without as much as a warning or quick heads up that it causes anxiety, insomnia, and really sore thumbs. It's early days in the science experiment and we are full steam ahead without really any regulation. It's kind of like driving in cars before seatbelts. The tide is turning though. Slowly, we're learning more about how the algorithms work, we're learning about how our data is being used, and we're learning more about the relationship between advertisers and app companies. Films like The Social Dilemma on Netflix and the Rabbit Hole podcast are doing an amazing job at spreading awareness. Because unfortunately, Facebook and YouTube aren't going to reveal their intention to harvest our attention. And the government is kind of behind the 8 ball.
How many data categories do you store? Does Facebook store on the categories that you collect?
So the onus is on us to become informed. There's a quote in The Art of War: if you know your enemy, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. And I think this applies to big tech. We need to know how they operate so we can form our defense. Tristan Harris, who was featured in The Social Dilemma on Netflix, talks about how the algorithms are designed to increase our watch time. Platforms like YouTube and Facebook recommend us content that they'll predict we'll watch. And as humans, we are naturally wired to pay more attention to emotionally charged content or sensationalized content. And as such, the algorithm tends to start recommending more extreme or sensationalized videos. Tristan uses the analogy of a car crash. Driving on the highway, for better or worse, it's human nature to look at the car crash. Doesn't mean it's good. If the highway were YouTube, YouTube would see us paying attention to the car crash and then serve us car crash video after car crash video for 5 hours to retain our attention. And YouTube does an excellent job at very quickly working out which car crash appeals to you and invites you down the rabbit hole. Whew, so that's pretty heavy. But the good news is that once we are informed and mindful about how the algorithms work, we can steer against them. We can tell when we're being recommended an extreme video and not click on it. If you want to take this a step further, you could even disrupt your algorithm. Don't click on any clickbait. Choose news from both sides of the political divide and then form your own balanced opinion. We've seen how divisive and destructive these platforms can be, and it's our responsibility to make sure that we're actively seeking balanced content. We all know what it's like to scroll through photos of that person we relate to, who might have a seemingly perfect family, better job, or land that dream role you had your heart set on. Before we know it, we're scrolling through photos, feeling like we've accomplished nothing in life and can't get out of bed. The goal here is to use Instagram to add value, which sounds simple, but if you look at social media through the lens of, does this add value to my life, or does this suck my energy? For example, if Tina from high school's photos make you feel shitty, then give her an unfollow. Or if she'll notice that, simply mute her posts and stories. Accept nothing less than accounts where you're learning, they motivate you, they inspire you, or make you laugh. And this applies across all media. I'm a huge consumer of podcasts, YouTube, streaming, but I make sure that whatever I'm consuming is adding value or raising my frequency. Be conscious of your content and how it's affecting your energy. Don't just let any content in. Close up shop. Our screens can be incredibly useful and powerful. We just need to point them in the right direction. Scrolling is the new smoking. Apps are designed to work like slot machines, releasing a little hit of dopamine every time we pull down our notifications. It's the same pleasure-related neurotransmitter that gets released when a smoker takes a drag of a cigarette. So I created an app about 4 years ago, and when we were thinking about which new features to add, the primary objective was user retention. How do we keep people coming back to the app, and how do we maintain their attention? So it's in the business model for apps to be addictive. Mine wasn't addictive enough, so it eventually tanked. But Silicon Valley's most successful companies actually employ human behavioral scientists to figure out which features pump us up with dopamine and keep us coming back to their apps. They're designed to be addictive, and they're succeeding. We are all addicted to our phones, but like smoking, if we make a choice, we can break that addiction. Ooh, that's good iced coffee. So step 1 is about deciding to make a change. Have you thought about how much time you actually want to spend on your apps? Our phones and our apps kind of just crept up on us, improving with every iteration, before we had a chance to set expectations or set limits on the amount of time we want to spend on them. What if we took a moment to be intentional? Go through your most used apps and get specific about what you think is an acceptable use time per day. Is your goal to only post content? Is it only to use it for 3 hours a day? Or is it to stop it during work hours? Getting clear on your goal before putting it into practice is really helpful for success in changing the behavior. Okay, so next, how can you create friction, aka resistance, between you and the habit? When there's more friction, there's more effort, and you're more likely to decrease the habit. In the case of screen time, what could be used to create friction between you and the habit? It could be something simple like keeping your phone out of reach so that you're less likely to check it, or you could go into the phone and set a timer on your apps. On both iOS and Android, it's simple to set a timer for your apps. Sure, you can turn off the timer, and I'm always finding myself prolonging it for another 15 minutes, but it does create enough friction to make it annoying and decrease my habit. It interrupts the habit loop. I found that my screen time was down 20% after doing this for a week, so give it a try and maybe think about what you can add as friction in between you and the habit. Another powerful step towards breaking this habit is going analog at night. I've found that on nights where I put the phone on the charger, make a cup of tea, pull out the journal and go analog, my mind is so much calmer when it comes time to sleep. I have a better sleep and it flows on to the next day. I highly recommend going analog as soon as you can at night. Breaking an addiction takes discipline, and this is no different. It takes discipline to interrupt behaviors and make new habits. It's going to take some effort, but there's no better time than now. We can all take back the power by deciding to change and then having the discipline to make those changes. It's still early days in the science experiment, and we have the power to control the results. Until now, we've been flying blind at the mercy of app developers and the algorithms. But now that we're informed, we can use our phones more intentionally and filter out content that's draining our energy. We can set habits to control our screen time and take back the power. Setting good habits like this is kind of like saddling up a horse and riding it into sunset. Our phones have become so powerful, now it's up to us to learn how to use them constructively. And I believe the global impact of each and every one of us doing this is enormous and hugely important. So let's change our habits as a collective and make a positive impact on the world. Please share this video if you think it's important, and let me know in the comments if you have any strategies of your own. If you found any value in the video, please like and subscribe, or you can head over to my Instagram for more, where I share wellness strategies and other goodness. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon.